that breaking news. We now know who is going to fill the Senate seat left vacant by Vice President-elect J.D. Vance. Thanks for joining us here at 4 o'clock. I'm Cherie Palello. And as we suspected, and we've been telling you, Governor DeWine has picked his lieutenant governor for the job. The announcement was made late this afternoon at the State House in Columbus. And that's where we find WLWT News 5's John London. He's live tonight with the reasoning behind his pick. Hi there, John.
Yeah, Cherie, you know, this whole process about the governor's decision really dripped with drama this week. President-elect Donald Trump making his desires known. Those rose to the surface. There was even a visit to Mar-a-Lago about this to discuss the matter. But today, Governor Mike DeWine said serious times demand serious people, that many of those he considered were qualified, but that knowing Huston's heart and his skill set, he was the right choice. This week, of course, the name Vivek Ramaswamy was thrown into the mix, even though he had initially distanced himself from a Senate run. There were many reports that President Trump was promoting his candidacy, one of the reasons the decision took so long. DeWine and Trump have had their moments of not seeing eye to eye, and I asked the governor about that today. Here's what he said.
One of the things I've always done is not really disclose what conversations that the president and I have had, so I'm not gonna do that, John. So, look. Let me just say that I did call the president this morning. He was very, very gracious and seemed to be very happy, and said some very nice things about John Huston.
And Lieutenant Governor Huston also said that he spoke with the former President-elect Trump this morning. He mentioned several times that he looks forward to working with the Trump-Vance administration to advance their America First agenda. It is not clear yet as to when Huston would be sworn into the Senate, nor who will replace him as Lieutenant Governor here at the State House. Live in Columbus, John London, WLWT News 5.
Hey, John, Huston, I know, initially had his eyes on next year's governor's race, which Attorney General Dave Yost is now announcing that he's expected to be pursuing. How much of a factor was that maybe in Huston's or the governor's decision?
Yeah, it's a good question. He didn't say. He allowed that a Senate run was not on his radar initially when he was at that Republican convention introducing J.D. Vance, but that he must have changed his mind, as he put it 100 times, talked with family about it, and in the end decided that the opportunity to go to Washington right away, not having to wait for it, but right away, was just too good to pass up.
Yeah, you certainly understand. All right. John London reporting live for us tonight from Columbus. Thanks for the update, John. And a lot going on in D.C. today.